this is the most excited I have ever been to film a UConn game recap. This was exactly the performance that this team needed to have. Let's discuss UConn's 96-36 win over Seton Hall today, Sunday, January 19th. Where do I start? UConn 60-pieced this Seton Hall team, who are a good team. It was just one of those days for UConn. They shot nearly 60% from the field and 50% from three. I think they were shooting nearly 70% from the field and 60% from three. And at that point, what do you even do? Again, it was just one of those afternoons. Half of their baskets were threes, which is really great to see because UConn has had some struggles from the perimeter as of late. So it's always great to have a game like this where we get to see everyone get in their rhythm. And their ball movement was excellent. Things didn't really feel forced or stagnant. They had 26 assists on 35 made field goals. Just one of those fundamental textbook great games. I really don't know what else we could have asked for. Moving on to my main thoughts and takeaways on certain players. Of course, I have to start with Paige Bueckers. Paige officially became the fastest UConn player in history to reach the 2,000 points mark, and just what an accomplishment that is. I always get a little sappy when it comes to Paige, and I always say this, but it really does ring true. I feel so fortunate to have had the opportunity to watch Paige Bueckers play basketball since the fall of 2020, to have been able to follow her career all the way through, to have been able to cheer her on day in, day out. She has brought so much passion and energy and heart to this team. Of course, Paige came into UConn with a reputation that preceded herself, and I think we all knew we were in for something special. But I also think that a lot of us have a moment where it really clicked for us, and I will never forget her freshman year, watching her come in and basically start firing on all cylinders right away and show up in pretty much every big moment, and what that felt like to witness. We know Paige, and she's very humble about individual accolades, but as a fan, it feels extremely cool to witness, and we are more than happy to celebrate her. And I'm really looking forward to a few more months of just outstanding Paige Bueckers basketball at UConn. Back to the actual game. Paige hit the 2,000 mark on a mid-range pull-up, which I felt was very Paige. Right around the free throw line, she just pulled up super quick, nothing but net. She is truly the definition of a lethal three-level scorer. She finished the first half with 12 points and 6 assists, so we were on double-double watch for a little bit there. She was doing a great job, as per usual, of facilitating the offense and getting everyone involved. I think she assisted nearly every single one of Azzi Fudd's buckets in the first quarter, and then also in the first quarter, she had this beautiful assist to a cutting Sarah Strong, and we know how I feel about point guard Paige and her getting to play on ball. It is just a beautiful experience to watch Paige Bueckers play such smart and thoughtful and fluid basketball. You know, there are a couple instances where she was open and could have shot the ball. Usually, I think I would have more complaints about that. But this afternoon, I felt like she did a really outstanding job of getting her teammates involved and helping everyone get going, and it very clearly paid off. It was just such a treat. It really felt like the perfect game. A classic Paige performance. Just outstanding. Every day I wake up and I practice gratitude because I remember that Paige Bueckers is a UConn Husky, and what more can you want in this world? Next, I have to talk about Aubrey Griffin, the return we have truly all been waiting for. This is a year in the making, and again, I am just so proud of Aubrey for making her return and overcoming everything that she has in her college basketball career. There are so many things that Aubrey brings to the game that this team will really benefit from. I am so pumped to have Aubrey back for the rest of January, February, and then into March in the tournament. I am confident that she will come up big for this team. In today's game, she recorded 3 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in 11 minutes, which I feel like everything there is exactly what this team needs from Aubrey. The first thing she put on the stat sheet was a rebound, and I was out of my seat. Again, I've been watching her play basketball for a decade now, so I was elated the second she stepped on the court. Aubrey brought great energy, ran the floor hard, and got her first basket in transition, and I am thrilled for her and so proud and excited to see what these next few months have in store. Next, of course, is Sarah Strong. I am convinced that she never misses. Unstoppable. Even being someone who has watched every single game of her college career so far, she still manages to impress me so much. Truly, I am just blown away by her freshman year. The last freshman who impressed me so much is this girl named Paige Bueckers, who I think has done pretty well for herself. So I feel like we're on a good trajectory here. Sarah loves to go crazy in the first quarter, the first half, especially as of late. She hit double figures on perfect 5-of-5 shooting less than 8 minutes into the game. She had 16 points and 10 rebounds by the half. A first half double-double is crazy. And this all came after the St. John's game, which was a game that the team really struggled offensively in, and was also the first game of the season where Sarah didn't hit double figures. So it was definitely really nice to see her get going early this afternoon. 23 points, 9 for 11 from the field, perfect 3-point shooting, 3 3 of 3, 11 rebounds, 3 of them offensive rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. What do you even say? She is one of those players where you know exactly what you're going to get from her production-wise and effort-wise day in, day out. It's such an asset for this team, and this team really can't do without it. Just a tremendous performance from a tremendous player. Last but not least, to round out UConn's big three, Azzi Fudd had herself a game as well. She finished the first half with 15 points and finished the game with 18, shot 50% from three. Every three-pointer she makes touches nothing but net. It is my favorite thing to watch. She is just a walking bucket. And with Sarah, Paige, and Azzi all around that 20-point mark, can all be aggressive, be active, and stay hot from the field. It is a tough hill to climb. They are just that good, and I have so much faith in them to lead this team. Now for the quicker shoutouts. Shout out to Jana El Alfi for 8 rebounds and 18 minutes, and also what I thought was a really solid defensive performance. She didn't get a ton of looks offensively and still played relatively limited minutes, but I thought it was a strong showing for sure. I also wanted to shout out UConn's other front court player, Ice Brady, who has looked more comfortable on the court as of late, specifically in the St. John's game on Wednesday and then this afternoon as well. I'm really glad to see these two front court players kind of settling in, and I feel like they have been playing better as of late, which has just been great to see. Shout out to Morgan Shelley, who was one of the first players into the ball game off the bench. Great energy as always and had a great Euro step. I definitely feel like she's been making more moves around the basket, getting a lot more comfortable driving into the lane and looking for her shot instead of looking to pass, and that's been such a great development to see from her. Shout out to Ali Zeibel as well, who had 9 points on 3 threes. I want Ali to go for at least 9 points every single game. She has shown by this point that she can really knock down shots, and I think that would just be such an excellent thing to be able to add to the rotation. I know she plays relatively limited minutes. Finally, briefly, I just wanted to shout out Ashlyn Shade. I thought she seemed to really struggle in the St. John's game. She also played relatively limited minutes tonight. She was only in for 15, but she had 8 points, was perfect, 3 of 3 from the field, and had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals to go along with that. You can always count on her to be really active in the game. I feel like every time I look at the court, she is just everywhere, pressing and trapping on defense, being the help defender, poking loose balls, going after rebounds. I feel like she has really taken charge of the fundamentals of her game, and it makes her someone who is very valuable to have out on the court, because not only can she knock down the three, but she can also create her own shot, especially in the mid-range, and she's a great defender, someone who really hustles. I am very high on her. I have always been very high on her. I hope her shot stays consistent, and I'm really looking forward to more Ashlyn Shade minutes in upcoming games. I think that's all I wanted to touch on for individual players. To be slightly nitpicky, my constructive takeaways from this game would be that I still do have some concerns about UConn's defense, some of their schemes and decision making. I know today that there were a few players on Seton Hall that they were willing to leave open, and that was a good scheme that paid off because those players weren't hitting their shots. But there were still a couple instances where players that shouldn't have been left open were left open, or UConn players seemed to be losing the player that they were defending. And that's something that we've seen in previous games. And when their opponents are having a hot shooting night, that's something that really hurts UConn. So that's definitely something to still hone in on and work on. I do think the starters and KK did seem to be turning the ball over a little more than usual today. Definitely want them to be taking a little bit better care of the ball, but it was also just a really fast-paced game, especially in the beginning and in the first half, so that sometimes just comes with it. I also feel like both this game and last game, there were a couple instances where UConn players were making telegraphed cuts to the basket, like their opponents were able to read the play really easily and were able to get a hand in there, tip the ball, get a steal, something. So that's just the nature of the game, but I've noticed that a little bit, at least in the last 2 games. So we'll see. Otherwise, no complaints. Overall, a fun game for sure. Again, I've never been this excited to film a game recap. Again, it was just a really promising showing for this UConn team. This is what we know they're made of and know that they are capable of, and it's just a matter of building on this performance and putting together 4 strong quarters of basketball, both offensively and defensively. Looking ahead, this team plays against Villanova at home on Wednesday evening. I am so excited for more Aubrey Griffin minutes. And yeah, I think that's it. That's what happened with the Huskies today. Till next time.